welcome back to Beyond the Fourth Wall. I'm 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗚, and this is
Philip Lale.
And we're the co-artistic directors of Fourth Wall Theater. Tonight, look who we have with us, our wonderful dear friend and amazing artist, actor, extraordinaire, does everything, hip-hop artist, everything, poetry, dad, Joe Palmore. Yay!
He's the co-host of Actors Quarantine Corner. Yeah. He does a lot of stuff.
He
Probably
does so
a lot
much.
of stuff we don't even know.
Hello. Thank you for having me. My family, how are you?
We are great. How are you?
Doing well as can be in these times.
Yes, I know. Well, you're doing a great job out there. We are so lucky that we've got to catch your show a few times, and it's just extraordinary. It's so wonderful to see someone we care about so much doing something so important for the artistic community and being a part of keeping people motivated and happy and informed. You're really doing some great stuff on that show, Joe, and thank you for doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me and doing what you all are doing too, because it's great for the artistic community, and that's what we felt like we needed to do. We weren't working, so we decided to start that show up and just keep our artistic tools sharp. And so whenever we do get back to work, we're not too far behind or not in the middle of what's going on. So we can keep working.
So we're talking about, tell me the exact name of the show. Tell our audience the exact name of the show.
So the show is called Actors Quarantine Corner. Basically, we came out of that. We came up with that name the first day we actually did the show. We were just wanted to go live because me, Brandon, KB, we had an idea of wanting to start a podcast in some way or some type of variety show that we could do. We couldn't quite have a name for it, but once we pressed live and we started the first show that we did, we was just like, this is Actors Quarantine. We're in the corner, So just all kind of came together, and then we at the end of that night we settled on that name for Actors Quarantine Corner, and then we actually moved into an actual corner, and so the name just went. And we don't know how long quarantine is gonna last, but we just like the name and think that it fits, period, because we're actors. We will be quarantined during the show, and we're in a corner somewhere. So, but it's a show like in living color, mixed with Saturday Night Live, mixed with a Joe Rogan podcast, mixed with a hip hop breakfast TV show. It's just a combination of all our personalities put together and displayed to a live audience. And we have fun.
Last night there was sports, there was politics, and then there was some hip hop theater.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about.
Remind me of the guest artist's name that you had on from New York, who was so wonderful.
From New York, we had Kwikstep, who's a hip hop choreographer and one of the originators of and he actually, cause we asked the question, when did you first, meet hip hop? Yeah. And he was like, I was there before, hip hop even was called hip hop. It was called, a totally different thing. It wasn't even that, you were just hip and you knew where the hopping spot was, and then you just had a whole bunch of correlate. But his name is Kwikstep, and he's like one of the original b-boys that came across, because that's one of the elements of hip hop is b-boy, graffiti art, the MC, and the DJ. And so you need all those elements in order to do a hip hop theater show. And that's what we learned that night, and that this genre has been making a name for itself since like the late 90s. And it's just been a little hidden gem that people have poked and prodded from, but never gave it much recognition to until we got Hamilton. Then people were like, oh, this is hip hop in theater. And so that's where we got to dive into that.
Yeah.
And so it's just different levels of it.
It was
we had a ball.
Interesting. Yeah, I was really interested. I didn't know a lot of that. And I mean, of course I knew about the show you did over at the Alley, and but it was nice to hear that history and that and where he came from and how much he's done. It was really fun. I was appreciative of that.
Yeah, and the first I heard it was doing Sinking Ink at the Alley when I assistant directed, and it blew my mind, because I'm definitely a hip hop head. I love hip hop music and I love theater, but I had never seen them really, mesh together in a way that they, besides people just using it in the soundtrack or for, sound design, but just seeing it fully developed in language and all that within the script. I had never seen that until I worked on that show at the Alley, and it just blew my mind. And so I just wanted to share this with others and let others know that there is this genre of theater out there that exists that is not quite Hamilton, but it's the real version of what we consider hip hop.
No, I think that was great. Good. Well, I love the show. I think that you're doing a good thing, and we'll circle back to it at the end so you can talk about what's coming up. That way, whoever's come on, at the end, we get to
Definitely
back to it.
And tell us, does Rec Room support that show? Is that because you do it there?
Yeah.
Right?
So we started in a undisclosed location, a garage somewhere. And so just out of many weeks of doing our own thing with our own equipment, Rec Room, emailed us and reached out and told us, they were really into and appreciated what we were doing and, wanted to offer us any type of help in space or whatever we would like, and just, trying to uplift what we were already doing.
Yeah,
so we met with them and worked out, sort of agreement for them letting us, use the space and growing further. And we're just going to see where that relationship goes.
That's
but
great.
it was a blessing.
Well, Matt Hune is one of the best supporters of theater in the community and everyone in what they're trying to do. He's really great. And
And we had a great relationship with him and Brandon.
Yeah.
And Brandon and the work that he does with Rec Room. So it was just a relationship already established, just like I have with you all.
Yeah.
So it's just great to be somewhere where we appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I'm sure our base and our fans are going to be really excited that you're here today because you've done amazing things for our theater. We could never, express to you the gratitude for what you've done for us, how your craft and your talent has done so much for our company. And that, and we adore you. We love working with you. And, I think we put together all the shows. I mean, I think basically almost every show that you've been in with us, and that have I directed all of the shows you've been in, except the one that I was in with you, Glass Menagerie. But
Philip got one in.
Finally.
It took him a while. You let him get one in.
You'll get to do another one. Yeah, but we started. I guess the first one was Lobby Hero, right?
That was it. Actually, I did a reading at your theater. And that's where me and you first met. We did a reading that me and you were in, that I forget what's the name she wrote, and we were doing it was a stage reading of her play, and you were playing the character, and me and you almost had a love scene. I think
so. Was that Suzanne Breslin?
Yeah.
Was that the sleeping girl?
Something like that. It was a bunch of sisters. It was a bunch of sisters that were fighting, and I was the dude that showed up, like dating one of the sisters. So it was a long time ago, and that's when we first met. And then after that, you called me in for Lobby Hero to audition for that, and that's where we took off.
We're off.
And do you remember, Kim? Had we or you seen Joe do something before that in another theater in town? Had we?
I'm not sure if I saw you at Ensemble or someone at Ensemble recommended you to me. Because Eileen and I talk a lot when we need help casting. And that's a great thing about Houston. We all talk to each other. So and I know I got I got your name, Brandon's name, and Kendrick's name from her. So all of you are on my list. I just haven't been fortunate enough yet to find the right part for Brandon and Kendrick, but they're on my list. So the other artists in Houston, people out there, you're on my list. Don't worry. I'm moving through them. I'm getting through them. If we ever get on stage again.
Well, I guess so. Okay, so we don't know exactly. Yeah. We don't remember exactly how we found you, but Lobby Hero, I remember just like, because I didn't have much to do with Lobby Hero. I wasn't in it, and I didn't direct it, but I remember coming in and watching it, late in the game. I don't know what I was doing at the time, but just being like blown away by really everybody in the cast. But you were just a revelation to me. I was like, good, that guy is good.
Well, you're wonderful, Joe. And one of the things I'll tell everybody about Joe that I love so much as an artist is, I've directed Joe enough times now that, Joe, first of all, comes to the table with a lot of choices and already understands things and already knows what he's doing, but he's never set and never isn't willing to talk through how the story works, what the best choices are for the story, for all the characters to realize their highest potential to make the story the best it can be. And even if Joe and I have to struggle to get to where we go to, the respect for each other's talent and intelligence and ability always supersedes, because, you know, any kind of conflict, because we want the story to be the best it is. And I have so much admiration for how hard you work and how intelligent you are and how much you're dedicated to the best possible performance, the best possible show, the best possible team you can put together. And that is a gift. And it's not just a gift because you cultivate it. A lot of people don't have that natural instinct to do that, to sometimes go, oh, my personal opinion might need to step out of the way for a bigger picture. And you do that very easily, and not always easily. I mean, sometimes we struggle, but we always find that good connection and that good compromise. And that's a great thing for a director to be able to work with. So I really, my hat's off to you about how wonderful you are at that. And thank you.
I appreciate it. And what's great is when I did Lobby Hero, I was coming off as doing my first shows away from the ensemble, which I did stages, which I did Whipping Man there and Stupid Fucking Bird.
Saw you.
That's where we saw you.
Okay.
Because that was so great. Everybody was so great. Yes,
Oh my
thank
God.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, thank you.
So it was there after that I was just getting my feet away from, you know, working at other theaters other than the ensemble, which had been my home for years. And so coming to you all's theater, and just every show that I've done there has just been a show that I could relate to. Is dope theater. It's a great story. It's human. It's realistic. And I just love all the shows with us. Like, y'all don't pick bad scripts. And I think almost every show that we've almost worked on has either won best show, I got a best actor, I've done, you know, something in that vein, because it's just good work. And that's what makes me like working with you all. And it's like a family too. And so families are always gonna go back and forth, but we always, like you said, want the best product. And that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the best product to put on stage. And whether we have the same vision of how that looks, that's the work that I like doing, is coming to that final product of something that we all are proud of and that we all love and that we can deliver to the audience. And y'all just create a space for that to happen, and y'all create a space where you actually teach at the same time too, so artists are able to still learn, which I love learning from directors that I work with. And each one of you all, I've learned something different, and because you knew how to use what, I'm not trying to call actors tools, but it takes a director to know what kind of tool you have and how to actually, you know, put that tool to its best use and get the best, you know, product out of that tool. And y'all do that very well in different ways. And so it's been a pleasure working with you all. I love it. I love Fourth Wall. It's like a family there, from the audience members that crowd around me and hug on me and all that love.
They love you.
The show.
They ask about you all the time. They're like, when you have this or that? I'm like, just calm down. He's coming back, okay?
I love opening nights. I love the smoked salmon. I loved all, you know, I love that. It's just become a part of my routine of theater because I've been working with y'all for like the last 3 to 4 years, you know?
Yeah, so they've always been great projects we've done together. It's been really, even like you said, they just come together beautifully and we all work together well, and it's fun.
So I want to ask you, I want to, you know, since we've worked together last, the Black Lives Matter movement, how to put this, shifted into a higher gear than it was before, right? We all know what I'm talking about. So I want to ask you, when I approached you about playing Tom in Glass Menagerie, and I think I asked you to audition, or I don't remember if I made you audition or not, because you were the guy I wanted.
But you came in red.
And you said I was the guy, but I auditioned before I did that, you know, but you just wanted to hear. You needed to hear.
I remember I offered you the role and you said, you know, I think I'm interested. I really want to do it, but I think you said something, I have to think about it. I have to talk to some people. And so I kind of think that is wrapped up in race, and the fact that, you know, I was asking you to do this part that in a color conscious casting way. And I'm just curious if you have thoughts about that, and like if things happen during that you know, that I wasn't aware of, you know, that we can talk about now because it's more out in the open, or anything that's on your mind about that. I'd love to hear it, and I think that anyone watching this might be interested too.
Ah, that's cool. I'm glad you brought that up. We actually brought that up when we talked about colorblind casting on our show the other time. And not saying that's what you did, but we spoke on that, and I spoke about my experience and the talk that me and you had after you offered me the role.
I missed that. I missed that
told,
one.
Yeah, yeah. So I was telling the crowd on Actors Quarantine Corner, just like I tell y'all, that I had reservations at first, and I needed to take a moment to think about it, because I did want to do the challenge. I love Tennessee Williams' writing, and it's rare that you get to do these monologues or get to do these parts. But at the same time, I was conflicted being a Black man, and knowing that Black people were in a different place in this time period and doing different things and in a different area. But after what 𝗘𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀 was talking to a few of my people that are actors and that are Black, and they gave me some tips on that, on just do what you feel is best in your heart. Is this something you're passionate about? Is this a challenge you want to do? Then go ahead and do it, but have keep you at the forefront. Not saying don't become the character, but keep you as a Black man in mind in what you're doing. And so another thing that gave me reassurance was Philip sat me down and talked to me and was like, outside of color or anything, I feel like you're the best person to play this part. And so, after hearing that kind of just made me feel like, cool, I can go after this challenge, as an artist. And, there were times where, and I don't know if you were doing something with me. I don't think it had to do with race, but, how we talked about my talking, because you directed me in a way I hadn't been directed before. You know what I'm saying? So I felt, from my standpoint, I just felt you were trying to get me in a way that people hadn't seen me before, or in a manner, people hadn't seen me directed, not in a way that, oh, don't do it so Black or nothing like that, like that.
I was really, really worried about that, because I knew that Tom has a kind of, the Tom that we were working on, we talked about it a lot, that he had to be, it wasn't, in my mind, it wasn't about race, but I was so afraid that, that just being a white guy, that I wasn't sensitive about that or whatever. And so, but you responded in a way to the things I asked you to do that made me feel like I didn't say it in an offensive way. And I hope.
No.
Yeah, good.
Nah, because I actually, after I dealt with the fact that, I'm a Black man and we're doing something in this time period, but after that fact, my artist hat is on, and as an artist, you were challenging me to do something as an artist, and I'm all for that. So the fact that, and I love when you would stop me, or that, and stop me like that, because it helps, and it actually helped me in my film and TV world.
Oh, good.
It's a whole different cadence of talking and being different in rather than what people usually see on stage. So it just worked, and it worked in the final product of it, which is I don't always have the vision. The actors don't always see the same vision as the director, and we might not even see it all the way to the first preview. And then after we in there, we're like, "Oh shit, that was good."
I know.
They do know what they're doing. It's like
sometimes when they can see it from the outside, that's good. Yeah.
Kim's taught me a lot about looking at a part or a play or a scene, whatever, in terms of an arc of it, in terms of something starting somewhere and going somewhere. And I feel like with our work on Glass Menagerie, you and me, that a lot of it was really about that. It was like save that big thing.
Yes.
And as actors, and I know this as an actor, like we want to just like Bluey right at the start, right? All the way through. I want, and
like, I have enough of it, Philip. I have enough. I can do it.
I can do it more than once. Yeah.
But learning to kind of keep stuff under wraps for a while, and that's what it was mostly about,
And it showed. I think it showed for people that had seen me in other things at Fourth Wall and came to see this. I think they got a different version of Joe that they never seen, but that was also just as good,
Oh, absolutely. So. It was great.
And I had a good time, man. I had a good time.
Me too.
The range of characters, though, that you've played, not only with us, but even like at 80 Players. Kim directed you in Best of Enemies. That guy was very different from Tom, very different from Lucius, very different from William. What am I missing? There's another character, right?
Tom? Well, no.
Tom,
Glass Menagerie.
Anyway.
I don't know. If we do something else, we'll figure it out.
Well, or even that guy in Whipping Man. I mean,
Riverside. Junior.
Yes.
The truncated
show.
I mean, all those characters.
The one weekend phenomenon.
No, we're gonna do that again someday. It's just who knows when.
The point is, Joe, you have displayed a great range of character. You know, you're not an actor who comes in and it's like, oh, he's just going to be Joe P again.
And that's what I shoot for, because I don't want to be one of those actors. And I used to have that because I do poetry also. So I get into a poetry cadence sometimes. And when I used to cross back and forth between doing the both, I would carry some of that poetry cadence. And then people like, Joe, you're doing the poetry, or Kim has told me that before, you got that cadence going. And it just helps to just snap out of that. And then I like that people can say that, man, I believed you with this, or I believed you with that, and walk out not saying, oh, I just came to see Joe in another show again. Like, no matter what character I'm playing, I like to become who that is and involve myself in the show in whatever little piece or big piece that it requires me to be to make that show great. And I like the weird characters. I just like the challenge of it. I like the challenge of doing something that people are not used to seeing me do, or wouldn't consider me doing, or wouldn't think twice before, let's call Joe for this. I like to try those type of roles, even though people think I probably don't, but I do. It's fun, even though I get stuck in doing some of the same things at other theaters, but y'all give me a chance to explore, my palette in ways other people haven't seen.
We do this thing at Fourth Wall for some of our donors called Script Club. We've only done one. It's like a book club, and they buy this script, they read the script, and then we sort of talk about it for several hours. And the first one was Jesus Hopped the Ocean. And there was this huge talk that day about, well, is Lucius on the level? Is he really found God? Or is he conning everybody the whole way through? And, so we talked about that a lot. And I think people even ask, well, what did Joe P think? And I think that the answer was, we don't know what he thought.
I know what he thought.
We don't really care what he thought. What he did was he played. That's.
But I think but it's really important. And I think, I knew what you thought, and all I cared about was that it didn't lean people's opinion about a couple other things. And we had discussions about that. And I said, this is great, but you can't do that because it indicates or makes them think that. And he would go. And sometimes you would go, well, I don't know, Kim. And I'd be like, just think about it. And then usually you'd come around to my way. And sometimes I'd go, okay, that one's okay. You can have that. Or we compromise. But
and that's that whole process.
Yeah,
that whole process was great in that manner. And just the fact, I love scripts that cause that type of discussion just at the table read. So even at the table read, when we first finished the table read, we had that discussion, like, what do you think? And there was disagreements, like, no, that's not possible. Same like we just did with Between Riverside and Crazy. We had different views of what was going on. But I love that because it causes that conversation, that talk, and that's the real human experience. We don't all see things the same way, but we can all come to having the same agreement of what we're going to produce and put out. And for me with Lucius, being that I come from, being a preacher's kid, I felt that, he did find God, no matter all the stuff he had.
But you know what? I think what made it, for Joe.
And Kim didn't want me to get the audience on my side in that manner, but just to leave it up to them to decide where they fell, and not for me to push them or pull them either way, but to just be me, be Lucius, and let them decide. And as you can see, the audience battled back and forth.
Yeah. Well, what was great about the text was that it didn't matter if Lucius actually believed he had been saved or if he didn't believe he'd been saved, because the text Lucius never talks about it. so Joe could believe that's as a director, I know that I don't have to make that decision for him. I just have to say, Joe, you're now tipping your hat to something that the audience is now seeing, something that would make them not believe you or something. I had to take out anything that would make them not believe him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if he's lying, he's going to be a great
liar. You have
liar.
to be a great liar. And we talked about that a lot.
So either way, he's going to believe it.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was all
even if he is lying, he has believed this lie so much, it is a truth for him.
He believes that if he pulls this con off, it will work, so that's the same thing as believing the truth.
Tell people how you rehearsed. I love this story. how you rehearsed the book of the Bible monologue.
It takes my family to tell you how many serial killer documentaries I was watching at the house. My whole Netflix history was American murder this, serial killer this.
You have to
was crazy.
Probably.
Right, yeah, now you're like, they're watching you. What did I tell you before you started about that? Do you remember what I told you about that scene before you started rehearsal even? That what we were going to do every day, but that scene?
Oh yeah, we were gonna perform it every day. That was like the warm up to start every rehearsal to do that.
Tell people who might not have seen it, if there are any out there, what it was.
Okay, and this was part of the rehearsal process. I wanted to keep because he was confined in solitary confinement, and so I kept myself when I rehearsed in my backyard in a confined spot. So much I paced so much in this one little spot that all the grass went away in my backyard because I had paced back and forth so much, just being Lucius at the time and trying to learn these lines and get in his head. But the part that we talked about was the part from the time that Kim told me I had the part. I was already on the track working out. She was like, all right, you're going to have to work out for this part. And I was like, all right, I'm on the track now, And after I read what I had to do and read the script, I started running right then, right when I was on the track. And I just rehearsed because I had to, in the midst of working out, I had to do a whole HIIT calisthenic 15-minute workout and going hard because this is his normal routine of what he does. And all that, I'm talking to God. And while I'm talking to God, I had to recite the books of the Old Testament backwards.
Yeah, and
while doing
like fast paced. It couldn't just be like
everything was fast paced. Yeah. It was a lot of gibberish and fast paced talking to himself, to God, to others, and then to just a warm up that he does for himself in the jail cell was reciting the Old Testament backwards because he wanted to show you how much in tune he was with that Bible and that word that God had. And so it was just, I had to start rehearsing that from the time I knew I had it, and it helped that we kicked off every rehearsal with me having to do that monologue.
Yeah, and I knew if I didn't make you do that or suggest that you do that and have that as a part of the thing, you wouldn't have had the stamina to be able to do it.
No, because even after all that on opening night, and those lights and everybody in there,
adrenaline.
I felt like when you haven't worked out in a while, I almost like went to the back and had to hurl, but I got myself together and got through the scene, but that was the hard, and then from then on it got easier. But that first night, feeling the lights, the people sucking up all the air, that scene, because your voice doesn't go out like it used to when it was in rehearsal, and it just became hard. But it got good.
Yep.
I saw the play 3 or 4 times, and every time I saw it, there was applause after that.
Oh yeah.
Was there ever a night when there was an audience stupid enough not to applaud?
I don't think so.
I think people applaud. People will try to say the Bible verse, the books of the Bible with me, or but we got an applause every night after I finished and finished up saying the last, got to Genesis. MF.
Yeah. Hell, I can't even wash the dishes and do most of my monologues. Like I tell people to do something, do monologues, and I'm like, I'm folding laundry. I'm like, where was I? Oh, hell, I got to start over.
But no, it was good for me. I thought I would keep that monologue in my wheelhouse to do for others, but I kind of let that one go.
Without the exercise.
Yeah, I gotta do it without the exercise. But that show was an amazing experience. It showed a lot of people in Houston who hadn't seen me what I could do, and it was great. It was great for fourth wall too, man. A lot of people I even like that industry night we had. That was crazy. I had people calling my phone like, I can't get in. I tried. And it's just having that feeling that people wanted to see it that bad and wanted to be a part of that experience because they had heard other people.
I had a lot of people come up to me, and I'm not going to say any names, but I mean big people, respected, important people in the Houston community come up to me and say it was the best show they'd seen in Houston in a decade. And it was really that great, which of course I feel great about. But there it is! Yippee! Woo! But it was a real team effort. I mean, everybody in that play worked their tail off. Everybody wanted to be great in that play because they loved that script so much. So I was really happy. And it motivated
everybody,
me.
even just working with Mateo, working with everybody, just everybody getting spit on. That was awesome, and just being able to take that one for the sacrifice of being a real show. I know a lot of people would be like, "Oh, no, you're not spitting on me," but you want people to believe what's going on in front of you in the live theater, and that's what that called for at that moment.
Well, it was great.
That's what I do.
That was great. I loved that show. Probably one of my most proud moments as a director to see people come together like that. It was really wonderful. So everybody, the music, the lights, the whole thing just came together.
That set was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I was really in jail.
Yeah.
So that was great. So then
that was a Ryan McGettigan set.
Yeah. Now how about tell us about something somewhere else that you particularly remember being one of your best, most favorite, exciting experiences in the theater that our audience might not know about, or some of them might have seen you somewhere else.
I mean, we mentioned Whipping Man or something.
Whipping Man was definitely up there. I never played a black ex-slave that was a Jew. So that was an experience, and it was an experience because Stages has a lot of support from the Jewish community, and so some of the donors actually invited us to have the Seder with them, so we got to experience, a real Seder and actually go through, all the rituals and all the things, because we actually performed one in the show, so we got to see that firsthand and actually experience that and still keep those relationships to this day with my boy Ross Bausch and Sean Hamilton was in that. But one of my other favorite shows was Stupid Fucking Bird at Stages, which was actually a part that I think was probably written for supposed to be a white man, but Kevin McGlock, he took a chance on me playing the best friend of Ross again in that character. And I won Best Supporting Actor for that one through Houston Press, and it was just fun. I was just being my own quirky self that I thought worked with the character. I wasn't trying to be white, I wasn't trying to be any type of color, but just be who the person was, and the people loved it, and I had a great experience there. And another play that really I connected with was when I was at the Ensemble and I performed Emmett Till, and I played Emmett Till in a play called The Ballad of Emmett Till, which we performed many years because it was such a powerful play. We went to the National Black Theater Festival and performed it. We were brought out to California and Santa Barbara to perform it out there for a college out there. And it just was the show that wouldn't end. So, but it was dynamic to play Emmett Till at the time that I felt like I could play him and be that young, 14, 15-year-old and pull off the agony and the pain that he went through and everybody had to witness.
Right.
But it was definitely a powerful piece.
I bet.
But past that and Sinking Ink was another one, just bringing hip hop theater to the alley. I had just finished doing One Man, Two Governors there at the alley, which was a fun because that whole it gave me a chance to, because they put everybody in the whole company in that show, because it was one of the first shows to open up the brand new theater that they had just renovated. So I got to see like the whole company at work, and just seeing everybody all goofy and funny and in their best light was just, you know, hilarious, and I had a ball. So all those shows were great experiences for me, you know.
Yeah. I remember the one, and I don't remember the name because it's one giant, big, crazy name, but Alice directed it at stages where.
We are proud to present.
I did not like that. I had a very hard time watching them do that to you. I had to put my head down and be like, oh, I mean, it was a hard play anyway, but then it had to be you, which didn't do me any good because, you know, I love you. And then I'm not kidding though, Joe. I wanted to get up out of my chair and not let them do that. Not just because it was you, just because of the whole circumstance, but then you being on top of that whole circumstance, I was just like, that was a really
see how my mom was even worse than how she felt.
Oh, I bet. Oh my God. I'm just like your kind of little theater mom a little bit, right? I'm like, Jesus, your real mom must have been freaking out.
Man, yeah. That and Emmett Till, she couldn't take, because they had a torture scene in the Emmett Till play, and she just
like
couldn't.
Matthew Shepard, right?
Because all she could hear was her son, not Emmett Till. Not, you know.
I was in this musical in high school, and my character died. And I remember my mom at the end saying, "Oh, it was really hard to, the guy doesn't even die on stage. It was like, it was really hard to see you die." And I'm like, "Well, how did I sing?"
The same thing I asked my mom, like, I was the part. She was like, I couldn't take all that torturing and stuff. It was just too bad.
Well, sometimes the things that your mom say to you, you're like, what?
But that play, that was another play, and it shows the dynamic of working in Houston, because I had just co-starred or co-been in a play with Alice with Best of Enemies, and then we turned around and she became my director. You know, and that's just working in Houston. You know, that type of stuff happens. You turn around, be in the show with somebody, and next thing you know, that person's your director, or running lights, or running sound, or being the stage manager. Because we like to work in this city, even when we're not working. So,
than people think. Yeah, we are.
And that play was amazing, because it just, people couldn't leave the theater, and I loved it. I had never seen that in my life of doing theater. People just sat in there, because we didn't do a curtain call on Alice's direction. You know, we just walked out and just left, and people didn't know what to do. We didn't tie it up in a bow for them so they could be like, oh, this was just a play, you know, okay, I'm clapping for the actor. No, we just walked out, and they had to deal with what you just witnessed. And a lot of people didn't move for minutes and hours, you know, just sat there contemplating on what they just witnessed and saw. And I felt like that was one of the most, you know, powerful things I'd ever seen in theater.
That playwright is, she wrote Fairview too, right?
Yes.
Do you know about that Fairview?
Yeah, I heard it, but I don't know about it.
I saw it in New York. It's so good.
Yeah,
so
and
you would
there's
really
a
like
similar
it. Similar kind of thing that happens. She does an audience thing,
we shouldn't say too much.
And it's crazy, because when she wrote that long title, she wrote it because it was the project for her class at the time, with whatever college she was at. So she never thought it was gonna be like produced. So when it got chosen to be produced, you know, the title was the title. So that's why it ended up being that long title.
Yeah.
We just say we are proud to present.
Yeah, that I'm like, what is it? Something about presenting something? I'm like, all I remember is a horrible ending that made me feel like shit. And then I was like,
that's the first thing I had to learn, was the title of the play.
Right. Well, what I thought was so horrible, what you were talking about people not being able to leave, which is so right, was what Alice did was took it out of the play and made you go, no, this is what really happens. And it took it out of the context of the play a little bit, and go, you may have seen it in a play and a little bit of a context that's probably manipulated. But in real life, this is not manipulated. This is what happens. And you just watched it in a manipulated environment where you're safe. But this happens and it was really, really powerful. It was really good and important.
And it was good doing it at a theater that had respect and just working with Alice, who was a Black director and knew, you know, we would have to talk about these type of moments, and even dealing with Ken and them having, you know, very careful gloves on how we went about this. And because, you know, you're doing a scene where you're looking like you're about to hang a Black person in your theater.
Yeah.
So, you know, you really want to talk about that. And I just love that as a cast, you know, even with my cast members that were in that show with me, we were able to talk about it, get it off our chest, how we felt. Because even the guys that were playing the characters that had to put the rope around me, they felt, you know, they had to battle with emotions that they were going through, you know, being that that's not the type of people they are, you know. But I have to become this for this actor. And what's that fine line between, you know, being an actor, or is this really in me? You know what I'm saying? And so they were battling.
Yeah, I played a character in LA one time that was a white racist woman in Mississippi who lied and told her daughter was in love with a young Black man. And she lied and told the town that the Black man had raped her daughter, and they hung the Black kid. And in the play. And every night, and the girl that was the Black kid's mother, right? The one that played the Black boy's mother, was a good friend of mine. And every night I would cry in the back. I'd be like, this is horrible. I'm not this kind of person. She's like, just shut up. You're just playing a role. And she was such a good friend of me. I was like, doesn't matter. This shit happens. And it was like, it does happen. And it was very hard for me as a white person to know that in this time that we're living in with Black Lives Matter, that I have so much privilege and so much entitlement that I don't have to look at that. Yeah. So when I had to look at it in a play, it was really good for me to have to go, you are allowed to not see this. And
that's how we feel as Black actors. Like, we don't get offended. Like when we did Best of Enemies, and the N-word was used heavily in that show, and you know, we had talks about it. But after we get in our heads that this is what's needed for the context of this time period and the play that we're doing, then I know it's not a personal swipe at me. It's not a personal, you know, epithet towards me. So it's not going to be offending me. So we're about doing the work, and the work is telling this truth, so people can see that, it was this bad. It was offensive. It was cringe-worthy. It was something that would make you turn your head, and you need to see and hear that truth, because you know, that's the reality of what we were living in or living in at the time.
It's really important, and like what you're saying, Joe, and I remember we had this discussion at Best of Enemies, and I remember having it with Kevin and the rest of everybody saying, if you don't mean the N-word, when you say the N-word, the audience will know it. If you don't think that Joe's character is below you, and that as a white racist KKK leader, that he is beneath you and disgusting to you, not worthy of your, you know, if you don't play that role, they can't see it in themselves. And that's what has to happen. If you lie, they can lie.
Yeah, me and Kevin became friends, so it was hard
for him. He's the kindest, sweetest person in the world, and trying to get him to do that was the best time. I'm the one that got up and got all racist with you.
You may relate to this. I was texting with him right before we started the show. And his daughter, he's got a 3 or 4-year-old daughter, Libby. How are you doing as a dad? And how's your little guy doing, you know, as a kid in the times of COVID? You mentioned that you've been teaching it before we got
that's a good question, man. Basically, all my jobs were taken. So I was an actor, so all acting, all theater stopped. I was also substitute teaching in the HISD and A-Leaf ISD school system, and then all that got cut off, and they still haven't brought back, you know, in-person teacher subs. So still haven't started working on that front. And I was doing Uber, and they had stopped really doing Uber too at the time. So like all my avenues of making money or doing different things, because I like making money. I don't like to stop making money. I like it all to keep connecting as much as I can get it to connect. But it's been hard, and you know, we had to do unemployment, and unemployment has been a beast with going back and forth with them, and all that while still trying to keep my son upbeat, because he doesn't get to play with kids anymore he used to at his school. So I have to be the kid and the parent at the same time, which I just want him to still understand that he can still play, still have fun, still be joyous, even though we're going through some other stuff in this world that, you know, really he can't understand right now. But it's definitely for him. But it's been an experience. My family has been very supportive of me, which I love, from my parents to my girl's parents to my girl to my son, just even helping me out by being quiet while I audition and do Zoom plays and and all those different things. But it's been hard, but I'm a fighter.
Yep.
So just keeping at it.
Yeah.
I think kids of actors have a real leg up on that because actors know how to be childlike. Some of them know how to be childish. Childlike is better.
And I'm perfect. And I tell them we don't even use the word pretend in this house. Like we use the word act. You have to act like. I'm acting like. And my son, every time people hear him say that, they're like, "What? Why does he like say pretend?" I say, "We don't pretend. We act like. You're acting like."
That's great. Good. That's fun.
And he picks up little things from his mom. He picks up things from me. He knows I do my show on Mondays. He would help us, set up where we were setting up, put the cameras together. He loves being on camera. He's been a little ball of joy for me and kept me on my toes so I don't get too depressed of what's going on and things like that, because I can't be like that around him. So
no, that's great that you look at it that way too, because it can get really sad and lonely right now, and having
because I got a lot of friends that are having to find whole new professions, or are thinking, will I ever get to act again? Will I ever be on stage again? Or will it ever be like it used to be, where we act how we used to act and be in front of crowds how we actually used to be, and to get that feeling? Or do I need to find a whole new profession and invest myself in that? So I know a lot of my friends and fellow actors are battling with that conversation right now.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
I like to fantasize about, what I think that one thing that's happened with me anyway with COVID, and I think a lot of people is, we've taken a good long look at ourselves and say and asked, well, if tomorrow there's a pill and you can take it and it's all back the way it was, what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
What would you want to do? And I know, I've discovered some things about myself in this time that I want to keep doing, that weren't true about myself before.
Yeah,
I don't know if does that resonate with
you?
you?
It's the same for us. Like, even because in the midst of COVID happening, it has you rethinking how sensitive and how fragile, what we think we stand on is, and how that can all go away and be gone. That, the drop. We went from opening and people loving us to y'all having to send that email like, I'll see y'all in a month, and then it went from I'll see y'all to
I'll see you
next year.
I know.
And just
that set is still up in our theater.
That set is still there.
Yeah, and it's a lot of sets still up because we still have faith that we're still holding on to the fact that we'll be able to come back and do what we do, how we do. But it was just learning that, taking for granted that every year was going to be the same. I audition, I book a few shows, and just to have all that just go, it just really puts a lot of things in perspective. And then the Black movement happens, and now you're thinking of yourself, what kind of art am I putting out here? What kind of stories? What am I using my skills for? Am I using it for the betterment of my people? Am I telling my people stories? Which I love that the shows, that you all do have Black people and have them being authentically Black in them. Y'all not doing shows that have the character of Black people, or when, they used to do plays back in the day with the one Black person or something like that, but it's actually full authentic Black people. And it's just wanting to continue and feel like I need to invest myself in telling our stories to those that don't know it. And not just for Black people, but for all the people who woke up in this moment of Black Lives Matter and were like, whoa, I didn't know. But and part of them not knowing was because we weren't even in our field. And I'm just worried about our field because that's all we can really control. Was we in our field of theater, we weren't telling, as much as we can, those stories, so people can know, because that's, theater is life. That's what we learn about life in the theater. We learn about people's, idiosyncrasies and them, everything about them by watching reality on stage. And so we haven't been telling these stories of Black people and what we go through you know, to the main people that need to hear it. Black people know what it is because they've been through it.
Right.
So it's just other people, so they're not so shocked once this movement happens, and they're like, I didn't know everybody was so mad or so angry like this, or the world was like this, or it was bubbling like this. But it's been bubbling a long time. We just
years.
Like 400 years, right?
So as an actor, you know, as a younger actor, before I was a theater producer, I never felt like I was in control of what I got to do, because I was just looking for the next job. I just wanted to work. I just wanted to work. What have you thought about, like, as far as, you know, controlling your own career with this in mind, what you were just talking about? Have you come up with it?
And that's where the show Actors Quarantine Corner came to be, because we wanted to start to create our own content so we can have control over the content that we can put out. Because you're right, most of the actors, or most of the friends or the actors I work with out here, we on pins and needles come every, you know, May or April or going into June, because that's audition season. We don't even know what our future looks like for that next year because we haven't booked it yet. And some theaters, you know, they calling people in, you know, a month before they go into rehearsal. And so you're really finding out right then, oh, okay, I do have work for these 2 months or 3 months, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just not having to fall into monotony, like you said, of having to wait each summer for somebody to call or ring my phone and say, hey, Joe, come read for something. But to know that each time we get a break, or I'm not doing a show for, you know, fourth wall or somebody, I'm producing my own stuff, or I'm putting out my own work that people can also come to and see me, you know, in between other shows that or other theaters that I'm working on. So we're just creating content that we can continue to have.
You've produced your poetry content yourself for a long time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I tied poetry with theater. I used to call them poetricals. It's like, because it involved poetry, music, dance, just all those things put together in like a big old theater show, because you had never seen them together. Like poetry has their own world, theater has their own world, but they really do coincide with each other. And once you add the theater to poetry, or to some nice language and words, it's a beautiful thing. So just producing those in the early stages was great, but it kind of burnt me out early, because we did it like way early. We was doing this in like 2008, 2009. And I was like you all, I wanted to pay actors, I wanted to pay everybody, and I paid everybody and had nothing. So,
Well,
you know,
no, that's feelings.
Exactly. So, it was trial and error then, and so we just been getting back into that mindset of producing and creating my own work, and working with my buddies and other actors to get them in that same mindset of doing that. And hopefully the theaters get behind us and support that, or we'll, you know, find places where we can, you know, do our own stuff.
That's good. Well, I think it's important to always have control over your own career to a degree. I've always felt that way, that you should do things on your own as well. It just makes you feel like you have purpose, and that you have, you know, your own content and your own energy and life force out in the world when someone else doesn't hire you. And you can't control that, but you can control what you do. And I think it's great you always have something going on, Joe. I think it's great. You teach, you do all kinds of stuff, and so you're always putting something out there.
I like to have a lot of irons in the fire.
Me too.
One of them pop to blow up very big, because, you know, everything is a process. You know, Morgan Freeman was late 50s before he became famous. So I got hope, you know. It's and I'm proud of what I've done. But, you know, I just keep, you know, at any moment, any one of these things that you're investing yourself into can blow up and take off.
Yep.
So that's what I preach to people. So I try to do the same thing in my own life.
I remember watching Morgan Freeman on Electric Company when I was a little kid. He was
Well, we won't call that famous.
He was Spidey. He was maybe the first live action Spidey ever. I love that guy. But that's beside the point. We're almost out of time, Joe. There were some, you know, we sent you some questions. Was there a question on there that you were like, oh man, I was really hoping those guys would ask me, you know, one of these questions, or anything you want to ask us before we kind of wrap it up?
No, I mean, I think y'all asked me everything, and I think we went into everything. I just want people to just check out, you know, what we do on Monday nights. Just give it a chance. You can log on to our Instagram is actors_quarantine_corner. I know it's a long, weird name, but we'll fix that eventually. But I love it because it's unique. So actors_quarantine. There it goes right there at the bottom, so y'all can see. But we do it every Monday night at 9 p.m. Y'all don't have to check it out at that time, even though we do love the live audience. But we do post it on the Instagram afterwards, and you can also view it on my Facebook at 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗲. At this time, we are going into a monologue contest called Actors Idol. So me, Brandon, and KB will be like the judges you've seen on Americans Idol. Somebody will be Randy, somebody will be Simon,
Woo!
and then somebody will be Paula Abdul or J-Lo or whatever that person, is. But we're asking all actors who are, in need for money or in need for just wanting to work, to enter themselves into this contest. Submit a monologue. That's all we're doing, and you have a chance to win $300.
I'm coming on with Hamlet.
Yes, come on. We want you to come. We want actors. We want people whose family said, "Oh, you should be an actor." We want class clowns. Everybody, come on, submit and see if you can win that $300.
Do it.
I don't know why anyone would even think about doing it now that they know that I'm coming on with Hamlet.
Hip hop Hamlet.
And see, Philip just called people out, so y'all better watch out.
And the hip hop and Hamlet. To be or not to be? That is the question.
But yeah.
Oh my God, I'm not doing it. Don't worry.
She just did that, Philip. Yep.
I did do that. I didn't do it very good.
So
I ruined it. Yes.
So do you have a story from a show where something went horribly wrong, or just
horribly wrong? Yeah. I know.
Always ask for funny theater stories. There's something funny.
That time Philip forgot his pants.
Now I was doing One Man, Two Governors, and we have a part in the show where the main character asks if anybody in the audience has a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Because he's hungry at the time and he needs a sandwich. And so we would always have a plant person that we hired to always have the sandwich. But on this particular night, there was a bunch of people that apparently brought their own food into the theater. And so when he asked if I had a sandwich, we had like 5 people, because I got to go to the person that has the sandwich and get the sandwich. So he asked, does anybody have a sandwich? And like 5 people stand up. They got like wrapped up foil sandwiches. Some got hoagies. They just snuck all this food into the alley.
Oh my God, that's
so
great.
It was just hilarious trying to figure out. I still had to go to my plant, but I had to pass all these people. Like, no, I got a freaking sandwich right here. What are you doing?
Take your sandwich.
I'm like, no, I got it.
What do you think?
Do you think this is real?
Did they hear about the show and they knew that it was going to come up? And they just
no. I think it's some people that I think that's what the whole play was on. That was like somebody usually probably does sneak a sandwich into a theater show. Coming from my family, my mom, when we used to go to the movies, she would wrap up whole dinners in foil, and because she wasn't paying for that expensive movie food.
$10 popcorn.
So we would be in that. We would be in the movie theater unwrapping our foil, eating some chicken, or smelling up the theater.
Well, people are like, "This is my sandwich. I'll give it up for the show."
I've had the experience.
Only in the movies. My dad didn't let me do that. My dad was an actor, and that's where I get a lot of
I never took anything in the theater.
My theater from. So he didn't do it in theater, but in the movies, oh yeah, we did. But we didn't play about theater.
Funny. I agree. Well, that's good. That's fun.
I remember watching the dress rehearsal first performance of Jesus Up the A Train.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I know what you're talking about.
You did forget.
I forgot all about that. Yes, Jesus Hop the A Train. My character smokes a lot of cigarettes, and I forgot the cigarettes one night. And so we are in the midst of a preview. We have an audience out there and everything, and we got to keep the show going because I'm supposed to be tossing these pack of cigarettes back and forth between me and Mateo, and there are no cigarettes. So I go into my long skills of pantomime, and I start to pantomime that I'm smoking a cigarette. Then me and Mateo do a whole 5 minutes of pantomime.
It was first time I saw the show. And like at intermission, I was like, honey, I don't know why you're not having them smoke real cigarettes. That mime thing is really weird.
And I was like,
why did you do that?
well, I didn't really do that. Joe did that all by himself.
And from then on, I had cigarettes everywhere.
Everywhere.
That's like,
All over the place.
we stashed cigarettes all over the theater, so that would never
Everywhere.
happen.
Oh, man.
That was good times, man.
Joe Palmore.
Yes.
That was an hour.
That
was
it.
so
That was
fun.
so fun.
I didn't even realize it, man. That
I
was
know. I could
awesome.
have talked to you all night. Wow.
Man, thank y'all so much, man.
We love you, and we'll see you, I hope, in person soon.
Yes. and
Hopefully
we
soon,
watched
man.
your show, and everybody else watched the show.
Yeah,
So-
come on, check it out. Support, man. Support. Just watch it once. If you don't like it, that's cool after you watch it, but just watch it once.
Yeah.
That's all
Check
we
it out.
ask. So.
Yep, it's good. I've watched it a few times. It's really good.
So thank y'all. I love y'all
take care of
too.
yourself. We love you too. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Night, night.
Beyond the Fourth Wall is produced by Fourth Wall Theater Company, Houston's home for extraordinary performances up close. Each guest is paid for their appearance on this series, in accordance with our mission to pay artists a living wage. Follow the links in the video description to support Fourth Wall with a tax-deductible gift, or to subscribe to our upcoming 10th anniversary season.
I've never had a beer before during one of these, but then I watched Quarantine Corner last night. I was like, well,
We get to drink. They get to drink. Okay.
Matter of fact, let me grab me a brew too.
Go ahead. You got time. You're all right.